Let's get into it, right? What happened today so far? I woke up 10 o'clock. I took a nice 35-minute walk without my phone outside and reflected a bit. And I was thinking about, my future, right? My next post is going to be, or my next video is going to be who I will be, right? And it's these thoughts that are still going through my mind, like what path do I want to go down? And what I know is that I want to be able to bring products into the world, right? Like I want to be able, like I really like the idea of engineering and just being able to, yeah, transfer my ideas just into the world. And more it's been coming into my head, but I noticed something. I am frightened by the math. The thing is, I can't like go through life and imagine looking back and being like, yo, I should have studied engineering and I didn't because I was frightened by the math. Another thing, if I want to start a business, right, that's 3 years in which I'm not doing that. But what I've been thinking about, right, it's 3 years in which I've learned just an essential skill I'll use for the rest of my life. Wherever I am, wherever I go, I'm able to bring my idea into the world, and I think that's pretty epic. I don't know. Thing is, you can't really start a business without any skills. I mean, you can, right? But like, I mean, actually, you can't because you need to bring value to people. But I think engineering is a good path. I really want to be able, like, mechatronic engineering, bro. Yeah. Well, it was a really nice walk. Very chill, reflective. I really like the time I've been taking to reconcile with my mind. I remember the time in which I made like the biggest progress, I think, as a person, either been very recently or when I was like 14, 15 or something. Was I 16? I think I was somewhere between that range, 14 to 16. And I remember going to the park every day, and all I did was think. Just went out, just thought about stuff. Took my time to like, because there was like a bunch of stuff that was on my mind, and I just let it go through. I remember that. I think it's good. I think that's good stuff. Anyway, enough yappage, right? We got a book to read. Today's content day. So later I'll be streaming how I'm gonna write some scripts. Because tomorrow would be content day. Usually I do it on Sunday. But I'm doing it today because tomorrow I'm meeting up with my father. Um, Stuff coming up. Yeah, got the book ready. I think I can recap what we talked about last time. I can recap what we talked about last time. Last time was about, first of all, commitments are most effective when they're public, effortful, seen as based on your own values, and active. Got it. Um, I think they just went further in depth into that, how how public apathy happens, kind of what you can do to protect yourself against it. What did they talk about? Yeah, that like mentality of following the herd. They gave the example of Jim Jones. Jim Jones, that dude that made like 900 people kill themselves. And they were explaining how that could happen. And the main point was that, especially in moments of insecurity and uncertainty, people are a lot more likely to follow the herd, right? And so, what he had done, hey, bro, what he had done was take out these 900 people to like a place, what was it, to like the rainforest. And when he found out that they might get caught by like the police, or that he would be, or that he might be not framed, but that they would believe that he was participated in the killing of some police investigators that wanted to investigate the situation, right, with Jim Jones. He wanted to take the situation into his own hands, convince these people to kill themselves, or like, yeah, held a speech. One person did it, the rest followed, and then a few people tried to escape, but a lot of them didn't. A few did, I believe. Yeah. And now it's about like how you can defend yourself against that. Oh my god, yeah, they're talking about how when suicides are presented on media, um, accident rates increase massively because of like a because it's basically like a bunch of people that feel like in a similar situation, but also don't really want to be public, and so they commit like the same action, but like on the down low. Damn. Y'all think we're sick? Tripping.
I think the coals are dry.
Nice. Then you can already put in a new batch.
Yeah. Actually, let me double check. Just to make sure.
Here. All right.
Did I turn off the heat again, or just leave it as another?
We could put it outside.
Yes, you can. So true. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Think after running this experiment, the low heat setting in my room is completely useless.
Oh yeah. Take care.
Or maybe the difference is this time we have, or like these last two times we had a lot more clothing on here. Oh, it's really nice outside.
Very nice outside.
Oh, I love this.
Oh wow. Actually, it's very nice.
Yeah.
I had a really nice.
Where did you go?
Just around the park. In the mornings, I don't use my phone for a bit, and sometimes I just take a walk in the park.
Nice. Real nice. I think I've covered all but 3 topics that could feasibly be covered in the exam.
Nice.
So those 3 topics, and then some review. Then I'll talk with Oscar. Baseline prep will be done. And then I'll be able to just like spam recaps for that short-term memory thing. And I'm gonna work where I'm thinking there's a bunch of labeling to be done. Maybe we can watch a Demon Slayer thing.
I don't know. I have a bunch of writing to do today.
Alright, then we'll see.
We'll see. Especially also, wir müssen auch noch einkaufen gehen.
We are getting short on something. Yogurt, I think. Yeah. And maybe toonfish.
And I want my hot choco in the morning.
You have hot choco?
Yeah.
Huh. I must not be aware because it's in the morning. And more gemüse. That shit bangs real hard right now.
Let's do that.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
They don't make one batch now, actually. They don't make one batch now, actually.
One batch of Gemüse. Mach. Can I fix my camera? I don't think I can midstream. Because I changed like some camera settings. Will I just be a glowing ball for a bit? I don't think it really matters, right? But I can't avoid it. I can only come here closer to the camera. And then it goes. Just changing the camera angle help. I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not saving that. It's okay. All right. So here he described how people would hire like singers in older times. I forgot what they're called. These like classical singers. They would hire people to clap or be like ecstatic, right, in the audience. But they also wouldn't really hide it. Those people would be like super obvious about it. They would like, you know, advertise it in public and be like, yo, you can hire us and all of that stuff. Had like price charts that were like just super obvious. Everyone could see it. And they would get hired regularly, right? Because they would help, because they would make it. There was a certainty that the crowd would like what's happening, or like a certainty that the crowd would also understand the joke if there's a joke or something. There's also a different example of these people that would get hired, I think in Spain, for crying at funerals, right? And it's these examples where social proof, even if it's blatantly false, still gets like registered or used to, right, influence people. Question is like, right, what do you do against that? And he's kind of stating, I don't know, this is not as strong, but it's like when you recognize that there's a situation like that. Another example he mentioned was people that like hiring people to be interested in a product in a public space. So let's say you're selling uh here those toe wide shoes, right? Then you have like a bunch of people that were just like super interested in your product and always wanted those kinds of shoes, and they're like yapping, right? And they're like super interested in stuff like that, so that if you're passing by, you're more intrigued as well. And when you recognize that something like that is happening, right, he mentions that's when you should basically, like, first of all, consciously, like, become vigilant regarding the situation, right? Which means at one point, right, you could, I don't know, bro, like, you could go out and tell them that it's not cool. It's kind of what he's saying, right? And in a genuine sense of righteousness by lashing out when they try. If you're like me and many others like me, so should you. It's like, I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro, but like just to be aware of it, right? And then to consciously go out of your autopilot and see it happen, right? And just steer against the influence, right? That's kind of what he's saying. Yo. Does it chill? It does. Okay. So he's basically mentioning how it's important to stay aware of your surroundings, and he gives a few examples. Um, In Singapore, there was like a moment where a bus strike happened. I think they just stopped driving, and a bunch of people were standing in front of a bank. So everyone who walked by saw a bunch of people in front of the bank and thought, okay, they're withdrawing money. So every person that walked by was like, yo, shit, they're withdrawing money. And then a bunch of people started withdrawing money, right? The bank had to close prematurely to stop like a crash from happening. Um, and he gives different examples where, for example, in with American citizens, if you asked them to fill out a survey, they were a lot more likely to fill out a survey if they before had filled out a survey. And with Polish citizens, they were like a lot more students. They were a lot more likely to fill out a survey if their friends had filled out a survey, which just has to do with their culture, or what does it say? Collectivistic values of their nation. Mm, he makes the argument that basically we react to social proof, or that there's certain insights about social proof. The first one being that if we see a lot of people doing the same thing, then they must know what they're doing, right? Because they know something that we don't know. And the second thing is that here, the first one, especially when we are uncertain, we are willing to place an enormous amount of trust in the collective knowledge of the crowd. And second, here, quite frequently the crowd is mistaken because its members are not acting on the basis of any superior information, but are reacting themselves to the principle of social proof. I had to be aware of that. Another example is given where racetrack employees would make money by betting on false horses. So basically the way it works is that there's horses and they're sprinting and they're running, right? And at the very beginning, before the race happens, there's bets that happen, and then you can see how much people are betting on what horse. And then there's favorites, like there's favorite horses. And if you're going in there and you have no clue, which is most people, they go in there, they have no idea about what horse is good or not. The normally, right, standard is the more bets are placed on a horse, the better the horse is. And they can use that, right? Because then they'll bet on a bad horse that is certain to fail, but for everyone who goes in there and has no clue, they choose the bad horse. And then that compounds because more and more people come in and they're like, yo, I don't know what horse to choose. They choose the bad horse because that's the most popular horse. And so they just lose a bunch of money. Social proof for you. I think I'm gonna just read the summary out, right? Summary has a lot of value. The principle of social proof states that one important means that people use to decide what to believe or how to act in a situation is to look at what other people are believing or doing there. Powerful imitative effects have been found among both children and adults in such diverse activities as purchase decisions, charity donations, and phobia remission. The principle of social proof can be used to stimulate a person's compliance with a request by informing the person that many other individuals, the more the better, are or have been complying with it. Social proof is most influential under two conditions. The first is uncertainty. When people are unsure with the situation, when the situation is ambiguous, they are more likely to attend to the actions of others and to accept those actions as correct. In ambiguous situations, for instance, the decisions of bystanders to help are much more influenced by the actions of other bystanders than when the situation is a clear cut emergency. The second condition, under which social proof is most influential, is similarity. People are more inclined to follow the lead of similar others. Evidence for the powerful effect of the actions of similar others on human behavior can be readily seen in the suicide statistics compiled by sociologist David Phillips. These statistics indicate that after highly publicized suicide stories, other troubled individuals who are similar to the suicide story victim decide to kill themselves. An analysis of the mass suicide incident at Jonestown, Guyana, suggests that the group leader, Reverend Jim Jones, used both of the factors of uncertainty and similarity to induce a herd like suicide response from the majority of the Jonestown's population. Recommendations to reduce our susceptibility to faulty social proof include a sensitivity to clearly counterfeit evidence of what similar others are doing and a recognition that the actions of similar others should not form the sole basis for our decisions. All right? All right? All right. Here, study questions. Content mastery. Describe the principle of social proof and how it can explain the effect of canned laughter on an audience reaction to comedy material. All right, so the more people there are that are doing something, right, the more likely it is to prime or to induce the same effect on other people. And so, in a series, for example, in a moment, um, right, when there's a bunch of people laughing, it arises some kind of uncertainty in oneself. Maybe I didn't get the joke, or maybe you did get the joke, but you didn't find it that funny, right? But the amount of social proof around you is saying, well, it is actually really funny, and so you start to laugh as well. In the Festinger-Rieken and Schachter study of the End of the World cult, group members pushed to win new converts only after their doomsday predictions proved false. Why? And that was because they were trying to find social proof for their belief when it had been falsified, proven false, right? They were so convinced that they would be picked up by those aliens on that day, and then they weren't. And so, in like a vehement attempt to restabilize their belief, they went out to search for social proof with others and bring them into their cult because, right, the more people believe it, the more real it seems. Which two factors maximize the influence of social proof on an individual? What was it about the Jonestown Guyana situation that allowed these two factors to operate forcefully? All right, number one, uncertainty. And number two, similarity, right? So if you're in a situation in which you're really uncertain, you're a lot more likely to base your decisions, your actions on what other people are doing. Especially if those people are similar to you, then those that effect is amplified. And in Jonestown, he had done exactly that, right? He had brought a bunch of people out to Guyana, random ass rainforest, right? Super uncertain situation. You've never been there. You're scared. Right. You know what I mean? Like you don't. You're in this new surrounding rainforest. It's like a uncomfortable situation. But at least you're surrounded by all these people that are very similar to you that follow this dude, right? And so you have maximum influence there because the people are so uncertain, and you're so and you're so similar to them. What is goddamn? What is bro? What is pluralistic ignorance? How does it influence bystander intervention in emergencies? Okay, so pluralistic ignorance is that effect that can be described twofold, right? You are uncertain of a situation, and as a result, you don't act, right? You look at someone in pain. Yeah. You look at someone in pain, and you just keep walking because you look around, and everyone just keeps walking. And because you see all these people, right, and they seemingly aren't reacting, this can't be such a relevant situation. The way it influences bystander intervention in emergencies, right, exactly as I described, is that you base your decision in this moment, right, a lot on the social proof of the situation. There's barely anyone acting, so you don't act. Everyone else is not acting because no one is acting. And we also want to seem calm and collected in the social sphere, right? Which naturally occurring conditions of city life reduce the chance of bystander intervention in an emergency? So it's an overload of information. There's just an insane amount of information in the conditions of city life, right? There's a whole lot of information. There's a lot of people. There's low familiarity. You don't really know these people well. I'd say like high pace. It's like a high pace, right? You got to keep going. Um, yeah, like bigger masses. There's just like more social proof against like a bystander intervening. What is the Werther effect? How does it explain the puzzling relationship between highly publicized suicide stories and startling increases in the number of airplane and automobile fatalities following the publication of the stories? The Werther effect, right, is I think the result that we base our decisions on those that are similar to us, right? And what that meant was that when you saw more suicide stories, right, you could say, okay, yeah, these are just people that are in similar conditions, right? They just like being a factory worker just sucks. So it makes sense that a bunch of factory workers would just commit suicide, right? But it's a lot more that you see a factory worker commit suicide and they basically inspired that, right? They open that possibility to act the same way because they're similar to you, right? And yeah, like you're also suffering, right? Not specifically, basically, it's not the condition being a factory worker, it's that another factory worker did it. And so you have this example you can follow, right? It's not that being a factory worker inherently sucks, and so factory workers like just commit suicide one after the other. It's that they see other factory workers do it and then they do it, right? And that was basically that correlation between um, publicized suicide stories and the increase in number of airplane and automobile fatalities, because people who felt in like a similar situation, they chose moments to commit, but didn't want it to be as evident. Yeah, there's these critical thinking parts. If you had to deliver a lecture to heart patients concerning the best way to secure help should they experience heart trouble in a public place, which steps would you tell them to take? And very clearly, I would tell them to basically point out one specific person, say you need help, and tell them how to help. You, I need your help. I am experiencing a heart attack, call the ambulance. You in the blue jacket, right? In early 1986, someone injected cyanide into Tylenol capsules on store shelves, creating widespread publicity and national furor after a New York woman died from ingesting one of the capsules. The weeks that followed saw a rash of product tampering incidents. Three other popular over the counter medications were found laced with poison. Pieces of glass were inserted in packages of cereal and ice cream. Even bathroom tissue was not immune. In one office building, the toilet paper in the public restrooms was sprayed with mace. Although the Tylenol incident itself could not have been foreseen, explain why, after reading this chapter, you might have predicted the aftermath. Because then a bunch of people that have always wanted to poison other people were inspired to commit to it. Yeah, right. Like they saw it as an option then. Suppose you were a TV producer given the delicate Suppose you were a TV producer given the delicate job of creating a series of public service programs designed to reduce teenage suicide. Suppose you were a TV producer given the delicate job of creating a series of public service programs designed to reduce teenage suicide. Knowing that research suggests that previous programming may have inadvertently increased teen suicides via the principle of social proof, what would you do to use the same principle to make it likely that your shows would reduce the problem among those who watched? Who would you interview on camera? Who would any of them be troubled? Would any of them be troubled teenagers? Which questions would you ask them? I would give a bunch of examples of students who were at a similar place, right? But what I'd do is that it's people who had overcome it by talking about it, finding people to talk about it, overcome it, right? And important is that it's the same peer group, right? And in the same situation. But what they did is that they overcame the problem by choosing a more constructive path, right? Like they hated their circumstances. They hated like kind of their life, but decided to act positively. That's what I would do. Interview teenagers, yeah. What questions would I ask them? What constructive steps did you take to overcome these troubles? Describe a situation in your past in which you were tricked into compliance by someone who counterfeited the principle of social proof. How would you handle a similar situation today? Oh, I have an example. What was it? Okay. No, this one's cooked. This one's cooked. just dance his ass off. I don't remember it that well anymore. I think there was this time. There was this kid in my school, Albert. What was it? We were playing some kind of game. Um, in the park, in a park. It was like on our school, but it was like a playground basically, with like slides and those metal like grips that you can go straight to the floor with from like a castle. We were playing the game, and I think people were making fun of him for something. And we were like we were kind of friends. And they were making fun of him. And I remember for like just a short moment, just for a little bit, I think I did the same.
Oh, let's go. My G, my G. Deine harte Arbeit hat sich ausgezahlt. Und zwar in der Form von Freundschaft. Mhm. Das ist wirklich die beste Bezahlung, die du richtig geil. Und vor allem, weil es jetzt einfach.
Yeah, and I remember doing the same. And I regretted it. I regretted it immediately. I hated myself for it. I hated myself for it so much. I felt so bad. Yeah, because I betrayed a friend. You know what I mean? For social reasons, it was wild. I know nowadays I would be a lot more aware of it. What would I do against it, dude? I would. I think I'm a lot more aware of these things than I used to be. I'd look at the situation. You know what I mean? I think it was one of his points. It was like, put your head up, realize what's going on, right? And so I just look at the situation. I think it's becoming aware. Is there better examples? Take time. Really important one is to take time. Take a moment before you act. Take a moment before you do something, right? And just think it through, right? Just to take a second to think it through, to look at the situation, and then make a decision. Yeah. Take time. Take moments before you act. I think that's what's been game changing for me. How does the photograph that opens this chapter reflect the topic of the chapter? You always ask that, bro. I never know. I'm not gonna go back. I'm not gonna go back. I'm at 50% in the book now. Um, which actually means that it's time for a 50% book review. So yeah, I think that means that's that's where I stop. Actually, influence 50%. Do you already have an opinion? Fire, fire. Right. It's like more of a scientific book for sure. Um, I like that. Bro, can you do the voice recording in the lock-in room?
Oh, you're recording right now?
Yeah, I'm streaming.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was a good book. It was like as if I'm finished with it. It's definitely a good book. I'm like 50% through, which is crazy because I've been spending some time on it. But like, I like the practical advice. I like that it has just like these tangible solutions to real life problems where I look at the things and I'm like, yes, these are things that have like applied to my life. Um, there are enough situations, just as an example, right, where there's someone in like an accident or something is happening. Not an accident. It's not really accidents because I have been aware of this for some time, but a lot more situations where yeah, I think where there's like just someone suffering and we just go past them. You know what I mean? Someone's crying on the side, heartbreak, whatever. People just walk by. They're like, yeah, this is right? To be aware of that. I think it's good to be more aware of that. Um, but yeah, I really like the practical advice. I really like the scientific approach, right? He's a researcher himself. He's been in these situations. I really like that. Has a nice writing style. It's definitely engaging. And I like these segments, right? The way it's built. It's very enjoyable. I think that's going to be my short review for now, but there will be a better, bigger review incoming. Now it is content creation time. I'm going to end the stream here as a segment in which I read the book and then start writing content. 13:12. I also want to go hit the gym today. Lower body. Lower body. Leg day. What are we doing? Hack squats. Um, Romanian deadlifts. And leg extensions. I might, maybe, do Bulgarian split squats. But we'll have to see. They also eat up time. They do eat up time like nothing else. I'm really looking at those big legs back. So I think actually those three on their own are pretty good. That's the plan. Content creation, gym, and probably check out math. Anyway, I got my hour in. I don't think it was an hour of clear book reading, but I still felt like I made some good progress. I got to my 50%. It was also good, like a lot of revision, a lot of revision, good stuff. I think still, I love the practice, making my thoughts clear, taking more time. I think it's a really important thing to do. And it was great fun. 1 hour 6, good stuff. Keep it going, as we often have, and we often will again. Yes.